Paul Hembekides, Hembo.
Oh, if it is not the dulcet tones of the midday Messiah. Missanelli, how you doing, brother? It's been
Hembo, I missed you, brother. I missed you.
That makes two of us. This has been a heck of a year for my Philadelphia Eagles, doing the best I can to ensure that the national media do not spread the propaganda about my beloved team. And I'm feeling an awful lot better, as you might imagine, about Sunday's matchup, given the news over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, and the news, of course, is the quarterback is probably going to be okay. We don't have that, definitely, unless you have some inside information.
I have no inside information, but the combination of the Ian Book news yesterday and the Jeff McClain reporting this morning about Jaylen Herz at practice, I think I'm just sort of doing the tea leaf reading, as I have been wont to do. But here's the thing. Working in the media the way that I do for as long as I have, as you well know, these things you kind of see coming. Very rarely are you stunned when a quarterback doesn't start. Very stunned are you really surprised or taken off guard by bad news. I have a good feeling that if Jaylen Herz was not going to be ready to go, we would have heard some of the whispers emanating from that building, just sort of giving us the forewarning. We have not heard that, and for those reasons, I am, we'll say, optimistic that we'll see Jaylen Herz under center on Sunday.
And we would have seen the line go down a little bit. It's a solid 4.5 right now, which to me is a very comfortable line. So let's dig into it as only you can, because I missed your face, but also your information. So what do you got for us that would indicate the Eagles win this game handily?
I'll tell you this much. When this line opened hypothetically at Eagles -3 before the matchup was even set, I was a tad bit worried, asking myself, is there something that we do not know? Perhaps it's a hedge against the possibility that Jaylen Herz does not play. But, of course, we're going to see this number shoot up past 5, maybe even closer to 6, should Jaylen Herz be cleared and ready to go.
Ooh.
The single biggest reason, Mike, why I believe the Eagles are going to win this game and do so handily is because of Vic Fangio's defense. We have spent so much time in the national media talking about Saquon Barkley, and rightfully so. But you and I both know that the single biggest difference maker for the Eagles year over year is Vic Fangio and this remarkably well-coached, disciplined, sound defense that allows fewer explosive plays than any in the NFL. That is Vic Fangio's staple, and the reason why it's so incredibly important and perhaps even instructive this weekend is because the Packers don't have their biggest playmaker. Christian Watson is out for the season. He is their one vertical threat, a player for whom, when he is on the field, their explosive play rate literally doubles. Without Christian Watson, it's going to be 3 yards and a cloud of dust for Josh Jacobs. It's going to be methodical drives by Jordan Love, who is good, but somewhat immature and erratic. So I'm seeing a game in which the Packers might be able to move it, but they're not going to put the ball in the end zone too many times. I would top the Packers. If you asked me to play like the team total, I would set that number at something like Packers 19.5. I do not see them moving the ball terribly proficiently against this Fangio defense.
All right, we'll get back to these numbers. I got to remind people that you're listening to WPEN and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Paul Hembekides, a.k.a. Hembo, with us. All right, Hembo, let's look at the Eagles' offense versus the Packers' defense, because the numbers are pretty good for the Packers defensively against the rush. That's what the Eagles do best, and I assume that they'll start off by trying to get some rust off of Jaylen Herz by running the football early. So how does that dynamic work with your numbers?
This is what I think about the Packers' defense, Mike. I think it is one that, to put it in a very nerdy term, does not scale when it plays great competition. As we well know, the Packers have played 5 games against the top 3 teams in the NFC. That's week 1 against the Eagles, and it's the 4 divisional games against Detroit and Minnesota. They lost all 5 of those games. They allowed 30 points per game on average and got absolutely smoked in the middle of those games, right? We're talking quarters 2 and 3. The other team's offense is adjusted. They failed to. I happen to think that there is sort of 2 ways that the Packers have to be willing to die, if you will. They have to play light and let Saquon Barkley beat them by himself and hope that their second-level tackling is good enough to prevent him from popping a few of those big runs that we've seen him do this year. The other is to try and win one-on-one on the outside against Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but we have proof of concept from week 1 that says that might not be all that likely. Week 1, A.J. Brown had 5 catches for 119 yards, as we well know. That's 24 a pop, a season-high 65 yards after the catch. On balance, the Packers secondary does an average time at tackling after the catch, allowing yards after the catch, but A.J. Brown is 1 of 1. A.J. Brown lift them up in week one. And if they wind up playing with a heavy box, I think we will see A.J. Brown, especially on those slants, and give him a chance to do a lot of run after the catch. But to me, those are sort of the most important attributes of this game for when the Eagles have the ball. When Saquon Barkley gets the ball in his belly, is he going to pop a couple? My guess would be yes. And if they decide to go heavy, is A.J. Brown going to pop a couple? And again, I think he is going to yak them to death.
All right. So let's look at the passing attack. They want to force him, obviously, to beat him with his arm. What about the rust factor with Jaylen Herz coming back? This concussion protocol lingered for a really long time, and we're going to have Nick Sirianni coming on in like 7 minutes, so he'll give us what's going on with Jaylen Herz and how he looked today and all that. But how would you handle this as far as throwing the football with him rust-wise?
That's the kind of thing that I feel like former NFL players, former NFL coaches that do this in the media for a living greatly overstate. Take it from me, who has never played one down of football in his life, could not diagram a single play. But I will say this. I do believe that the Eagles' offense, more than perhaps most offenses, I wouldn't say is rust-proof, but it is not a West Coast-style timing-based offense like we see in Green Bay or San Francisco or with the Rams or with the Falcons. The Eagles don't live in that world. I mean, Jaylen Herz isn't a three-step drop back, fire it in 2.4 seconds kind of quarterback. That's not what the Eagles do. I think the fact that they go 50-50, literally 51-49 in terms of their run-pass ratio, helps him. I think the fact that the Eagles have this, for lack of a better term, slam dunk, third and fourth and one push play that they can go to at the well and get the ball in from the 1 yard line and score touchdowns, literally as well as any team in the league, sort of prevents them from being subject to the same kind of issues, perhaps, as we've seen in the past. You're also talking about an Eagles team that has struggled historically, at least this season, in the first quarter, rusty or not rusty when it comes to their quarterback. So, this is the kind of thing that the Eagles have literally overcome all season, Monkey Miss. And so if the Eagles are down 10-3 after the first quarter, what we have is an entire regular season of data that say, once they get going downhill, the avalanche starts, and it's going to swallow up the Packers. I think there's a non-zero chance that Jaylen Herz probably, goes through this game, perhaps, and plays a C- game from a passing standpoint. But the good thing, as you well know, about having a dominant offensive line with a quintet of barbarians that can block at the second level and move like teddy bears, right? Those guys are so good that it raises the floor of your offense so much so that it reduces the burden on your quarterback from a passing standpoint. I'm not suggesting that Jaylen Herz is not going to have to hit some big throws in order to beat a really good Packers team. I am, however, saying that when you run the ball as proficiently as the Eagles run the ball, and the numbers demonstrate this, that you're going to have a better chance moving the football and scoring points at least 3 at a time than a team that throws the ball 2/3 of the time that is largely timing-based, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. All right, so the one last question I need to ask you here. They have the advantage, an offensive line, pass catchers, running back. The defense is ranked number 1. And so the story that you read here in Philadelphia today, what can hold them back? And it always comes down to the quarterback and especially the coach. You're around a lot of ex-NFL players up there at ESPN. What is their opinion of Sirianni, and why isn't he being mentioned along with the LaFleurs and the McVays and all these other coaches that seemingly dazzle the world?
Okay, so as you well know, you've done this for a long time. If it bleeds, it leads. The problem is the Eagles have so rarely bled this season that what the national media have to do, and perhaps my show is complicit, is find things to poke holes at. We like to major in the negative. When the Eagles have been so dominant this season that you can't really poke holes at Howie Roseman's roster, you can't really poke holes at the coordinator, what you have to do is find someone to cast aside, and that person happens to be Nick Sirianni. And the reason that the national media do not like Nick Sirianni is because he doesn't have a designer haircut, because he's not super friendly with all these people, all these insiders that decide to give insiders their endless amounts of access. He doesn't play the game, and candidly, I'm here for it. Nick Sirianni does not give a bleep what the national media think about him. The reason I know that is because I'm in it, and I have people on my shows that know him well, and he actually does not care, which is my single favorite thing about Nick Sirianni. Now, do I think that he's the second coming of Paul Brown? No. I don't happen to think that he's one of the great coaches in the NFL today. I do, however, believe that anyone who wins 70% of their regular season games, which, by the way, is the highest win percentage for any active head coach, is not stumbling into success. The NFL is too hard to win in. And when you look at the markers that I care about, when it comes to how you evaluate coaching, whether it be penalties, whether it be starting field position margin, whether it be turnovers, whether it be 34th down decisions, things of that nature, the Eagles always grade very favorably in those areas. So maybe they don't like the vibe there, right? Maybe they don't like the pencil in the ear. Maybe they don't like him taunting the fans after the Browns game or whatever we decided that was that day. Maybe we don't like the kids up at the press conference. But truthfully, I defend my coach as often as I can. That does not mean that he is beyond reproach. It does, however, mean that I would say majority of the slings and arrows that he absorbs from my brethren in the national media are largely unwarranted.
Yeah, I didn't like the kids at the press conference either. All right, Hembo, last thing. I got to get your prediction.
The Eagles are going to win this game, and I will say that the final score will be something approximating 27-16. I think they're going to cover the number. I think you'll see the Packers get in the end zone once, maybe twice. They'll move the ball, but probably have to settle for some field goals. Ultimately, I think the Eagles' offense is plenty good enough, even with a rusty Jaylen Herz, to put up between 25 and 30. You're going to see Vic Fangio's defense really shine. In fact, today on Get Up, one of our analysts, Dominique Foxworth, said that among the 6 games being played this weekend, so 12 teams, so 24 units that will be on the field this weekend, he has the Eagles' defense power ranked as the number 1 unit of all those 24.
Wow.
To me, that might be a bit of a stretch, but the Eagles ain't losing that game in front of their home fans against a Packers team that is reeling, that is banged up with an inexperienced quarterback. This is a team that in a different context would scare me, but it is not this context, Mikey Miss. Give me the Birds by something like 10 or 11 points.
I got you, and I agree with you. And so, Hembo, thank you for coming on. We have found your tribute. So on the way out, can we hear a little of the Hembo song? Here we go.
He's got stats you need to know. He's
Tingling the ivories. Hembo! Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
You found the jingle. How on earth do you think I got those twins? That was the jingle. It was all the jingle. I'll play it for my wife later today, big boy.
We'll talk to you up the road, all right? There he is,
Yes,
Paul Hembekides, executive producer. All right, Nick Sirianni is coming your way after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos. It's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.